Hey guys, today is a bit different. I've been watching a bunch of scary like legends and urban legends and like all that stuff on YouTube lately because quarantine bored. I'm a huge fan of like reading scary stories like No Sleep, Paranormal, and like all those Reddit threads. I read them until like early AM. I decided I wanted to tell my own paranormal story, which I've been trying to see if anyone else had posted something of this sort or something about this topic. I searched like so many things and like here and there things will pop up. I've never found like a super detailed explanation of anything, and I've never really seen like anyone's full story, just like they've heard this, they've heard that. So I am going to compile everything I know today. I wanted to come on here and tell kind of a lengthy story about what I know about the Toronto Zoo and the tent lady and that kind of old finch, everything like that. If you're from the Toronto area or Greater Toronto, maybe you've heard of something of the sort once in your life. I've been super intrigued, especially when it's places that I've been and I've known in real life, because I definitely believe myself that there are paranormal stuff in this world. There's definitely like entities and like shadow people. There's no way that in a world this big your mind could be so small that you think that humans are the only entity in the world. Like there's no way. Sorry. Hi baby, come here. Come here. Come sit with mommy. If you don't know anything about it, let me just preface with this. The Toronto Zoo is not located really directly in downtown Toronto. It's off the Highway 401 in Scarborough, and it is really close to like Old Finch Road. If anyone has ever been there, that whole area creeps me the hell out. It's just kind of a not super city part of Toronto. That whole area to me is super haunted. There's a lot of legends about why that area is so haunted. Directly behind the zoo there's this really old road, and it's like kind of unpaved. Some parts of it are paved, and then there's a road that leads off into like this forest area. It's pretty much near Pickering and Scarborough. There's a huge unpaved road, and then there's like a regular road which is like one lane only, and then there's like little trails where people can go hiking and stuff in the forest. Let me tell you, that forest is haunted as hell, so like I wouldn't hike there if I were you. Those people that I've talked to that have experienced something that has to do with something paranormal, they have a similar story. So that's what creeps me out, y'all, because these people are not friends. I've talked to people of all age groups. I talked to people when they were in high school about it, people that were adults, and then people that I wouldn't expect to even have any say in this because they were like old coworkers, like so much older than me. I'm an adult, but I'm not like an adult, you know what I'm saying? Because you know how adults are always saying like, oh, don't believe in this stuff. There are a lot of things that go on. So people say that they hear like a little girl singing. People say that they've seen like an old lady just like wandering around the woods. To be honest, I have only been in this area like once or twice because it just freaks me out a lot. I don't ever want to see anything. So let's start with the little girl singing. There's this like giant lake thing. It's not super like a cute lake where you can like picnic and take cute pictures. No, it's like a super swampy, it's kind of green, and there's like a bridge over it. It is a super nice lake, I'm sure, in the daytime. Apparently at night there's like a girl that like sings on it and she sits on the bridge. I have heard that people have seen like a guillotine girl. My friend went with her boyfriend and his friends once because they were like, they really wanted to see if anything was going on there. They drove to the bridge. My friend was with her boyfriend and his friend or friends. They couldn't see anything, so they started driving away, and then my friend kind of looked back in the reflection or the back windshield at the end of like the bridge, because they drove past the bridge. She sees a little girl silhouette at the end of the bridge. She was headless. She was holding her head in her hands. So I'm currently filming, and I realized that I actually have one more friend who has experienced something kind of paranormal. I got her to record a voice clip of her experience, and I will insert it right here.
So I remember going to Old Finch, and my friends always told me it was like haunted, right? And basically like they told me to like walk down the path and like walk all the way, like just follow the path until I hit the bridge, right? So I'm walking, and it's like summer, so it's like 30 degrees, so you don't need like a jacket or anything, but like I felt like a cold breeze, which is like pretty standard, so I didn't get too scared or anything. It was just like, okay, I feel like a breeze is pretty chilly, right? So I'm walking, and then all of a sudden like I hear like growling like a dog, and I can't really like make anything out because it's like pitch black, right? So I kind of like ignore it. I'm like, it must be like someone's dog or like whatever. So I keep walking. I keep walking. I'm pretty sure I'm like delusional, like trying to like not believe anything. Finally get to like the fenced part of like Old Finch, and I can see that there are dogs there. There were three dogs, and I could see like their eyes were glowing. But then the thing is that the weird part was I saw a man wearing a top hat, and the three dogs were like beside him, and he was like in the middle. I like fucking ran out of there.
She is not the type to like make this kind of stuff up. And then a lot of people say when they go at night, they see a girl standing there and she's holding balloons and she's singing or she's crying. So I researched a lot into it, and I'm like, who is this girl? Did anything happen there? I searched up like deaths. I couldn't find anything. Absolutely nothing. It honestly felt like when I was searching into this that someone was trying to hide something, and everything was like wiped off the internet. Apparently there was a girl that committed suicide on the bridge of her birthday. She was under 18. She jumped off the bridge. It was her birthday, and they say that every single year you go to this bridge. I'm like uneasy talking about this. They say that every year on her birthday, if you go there, you will see either fresh balloons. Isn't that so creepy? Balloons rising up from the water, or hear a girl crying, or she's just singing happy birthday to herself. And it is so scary, you guys. Like, imagine it is like 1 a.m. you're here at this bridge, you just hear the melody of happy birthday in your ear, and you see a fresh balloon. That one's really creepy. A few other people I've spoken to, or they're friends of a friend, they've also seen a female silhouette. They've never gotten close enough though to kind of like see close up. It's just more always of like a shadow or super in the distance, but a lot of people can hear the singing. And if you go on her birthday, apparently you will hear it too. Now, I don't know exactly when her birthday is. I don't remember anymore. I'm sorry. I just wanted to preface that into the next like more scary story. I feel like that was just kind of a small chunk. The next one is actually something that most people have told me they have heard of, or they have experienced, or something of the sort. Tent lady. My friend used to actually live in Pickering, and his house was pretty much through the forest, and Uber drivers would not want to come get him because you would have to go through the forest to get to his house. They would not want to accept the ride because they don't want to go to the forest. My friend has let me know that the few times he has gotten an Uber that has to drive him home or drive him out, they've been like, the Uber drivers have always been super uneasy. Oh my god, Sumo, are you okay? We'll let him be. We'll let him do his thing. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, you live here kind of thing. So he pretty much lived at the end of the forest. It wasn't like one of those homes that was just him and his family. It was pretty much like a suburbs, but it was at the end of this forest. I would drive past this forest all the time before I even knew about the story. And after I knew about it, oh my gosh, I was so freaking scared. It is so freaking creepy, you guys. There's a lady in a tent that lives in that forest. It is a tent that is just propped up. It doesn't look super old or ratty. It just looks like a camping tent. Apparently there's a lady that lives in this tent, and nobody knows if this lady is like a paranormal entity, like she's a ghost or something, or she's just like a homeless woman. And the reason why nobody knows that, and there's such a question about who is this woman, what does she want, does she really live there, people have seen so many different things about this woman. My friend who lived in Pickering, before he even knew all this, I told him about this, because after he told me he lived in Pickering, I was like, oh my gosh, like, you live right beside Tent Lady. And he's like, who the hell is Tent Lady? I told him this whole story about how this lady lives in a tent near his house in the forest, and he was like, oh my gosh, I have seen that tent. And it is so creepy because he literally described to me exactly what the tent looked like, what I had in my head before I even told him or knew anything about it. That is just super creepy. And there's this lady that lives there, and apparently she's all raggedy, she's super old, and she just makes noises at people from her tent. And the thing is, like, it's not just a forest where it's like secluded, it's just her and her tent. It's a hiking trail that not a lot of people take because it's creepy as hell, but it is a hiking trail. Hikers in the past have reported that they've walked past this tent, they've seen a tent propped up there. It's always in the same spot. And the thing is, it's not an abandoned tent. They don't know if anyone had just like left it there from camping. Some people have seen like lights and movement from inside the tent. Some people have witnessed the lady itself wandering through the woods. So a lot of times people don't know if it's a ghost or something, or a witch, or if she's a real person. Whenever anyone goes to investigate, this tent is always empty, except for once a few children. I don't think they were children actually. It's just that anyone under 20 now is a child to me, but like, oh my god, I'm old. They went to poke around the tent after they heard the story of Tent Lady, and this is just a legend that I've heard from a few people. I am not sure if this is actually real or not. I am just telling you legends and scary stuff of what I've heard. So a few boys once, they went to go snoop around and they heard the story of Tent Lady. They didn't really believe it, so they went to hike around. They went into the trail, they searched all day, and they could not find the tent. These boys ended up finding the tent really late at night. They finally found the tent. It was all raggedy. There was no light in it, no movement. It was just a tent. One of them said to the other, oh, we should go open it, we should go check it out. One of the other boys replied like, no, like we shouldn't even go near it. He's scared, you know, like I would be too. And the last boy was like, okay, like I'll do it, like I don't care, like I'll freaking go into this tent. He kind of steps away from the group and he kind of like opens the tent up. The other two boys are kind of like still far away. They're like kind of freaked out. One of them is super against like tampering with the tent at all. One of them is kind of curious, and the one that goes to open up the tent straight up goes to the tent, opens it a little, and he lets out this blood curdling scream. He's like screaming at the top of the lungs. The other two boys book it out of there. They were like sprinting because your friend screams, you run, okay? This last boy was nowhere to be found. Like they couldn't find him anywhere. He never made it back out of the tent. He didn't come running after them. The other two boys like sprinted off somewhere, but they finally like met up, but the last boy never made it back up. That boy went missing. I'm not too sure what happened, but that boy never resurfaced. They never found him. So after that, when I was in like grade 11, grade 10, people were warning other people not to go looking for the tent lady. Do not go into her tent if you find her. Basically, don't disturb like other spirits. I was so freaking scared when I heard this story. I was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot. The next story is when I told one of my older coworkers. She's like a straight up mom, you guys. Like she's not the type to be trying to play games with me. I told her the story and I was like, tent lady is for sure definitely a thing. It might not be a lady, it might not be a ghost, it's just something is there. There's no way that so many people have seen like the same things happen in one spot. So she was like, where is this again? And I replied to her, Old Finch Road near the Toronto Zoo. Her face got so white, I thought she was gonna pass out. She told me that once she was driving to one of her in-laws' house, she went off the 401. She went through a back road because she didn't want to go through like traffic, I guess, so she took a back road. And she says on Old Finch Road, literally directly behind the zoo, there's this lady on the side of the road. She had super long black hair and she just kept waving to me like this on the side of the road. She was so freaked out. She was driving not super fast. I think it's like a 60 kilometers an hour road. She just saw like a lady at the front like waving to her like this. And she didn't really slow down because she wasn't planning on stopping because she was obviously freaked the hell out. She just kind of drove by. She couldn't see a face. It was just literally all hair. So like imagine like all dark, long, raggedy hair and just an arm waving at you, and she drove by. And then she looked in her rear view mirror and she couldn't see anyone. Like she didn't see any indication that there was a lady there. So she was like, was I hallucinating? But she swears that she saw that so clear and it still freaks her out to this day. And then a few years go by, I'm still researching. I'm adding a lot of these stories to my knowledge to build up this whole story. I speak to some of my other friends about it. One of them told me that he and his friends actually went to Old Finch and they parked there because they said that they heard stories, not from me, that this place was really haunted. they went by themselves in a car and they parked there and they went into neutral. You guys, if you don't know, Old Finch is like the flattest road. Like right behind the zoo, it is a super flat road. Like there's no uphills, there's no downhills. So they parked their car completely neutral on the side of the road. I'm sorry, he just needs attention right now. They were just waiting to see if they could see anything. They were pretty much right beside the forest, you guys, where Tent Lady lives. So they were so scared. But like they were guys, they were 19 or something at the time, so they didn't really give a shit. This narrow road is so tiny, and they start to feel their car move backwards on a road that doesn't have a slope, on a road that doesn't have an uphill or downhill. Their car was moving backwards, and 4 of them were in the car, and they all said this was the scariest thing. They felt like this wasn't because their car was rolling or anything like that. They felt a force pushing them backwards. The driver of the car, my friend, just got into drive right away and booked it out of there. He was like, I'm done, I don't want to see anything. They didn't see any tent lady, they didn't see any girl, they didn't hear anything. All they felt was a force of their car moving backwards, and it was such a strong force that it didn't even feel normal. That definitely added into the confirmation that something was just not right at Old Finch. The last part of this story, years go by, I kind of put it to the back of my mind. I haven't really thought about it since. I meet my boyfriend Calvin. He lived at the time near the zoo, and when I found out where he lived, I immediately asked him if he had heard all of this nonsense and stories and paranormal occurrings, like anything to hear to add on to my vault of memories about this whole ordeal. I asked him, have you ever heard of anything scary that happened here? And he's like, I drive by there all the time. And he's like, now a lot of things make sense. And he told me that trail in the woods where Tent Lady is where he dirt bikes, and he would do that sometimes at night by himself, like 11 p.m. to dirt bike. And if you're dirt biking through the woods by yourself, like even in a non-haunted area, that's already scary. He said that it was a kind of a warm night. It was a summer night. He was dirt biking in that trail by himself. He told me that as soon as he passed the entrance into the forest on his bike, it just went completely silent. You know that kind of silent where it's like dead silence, like you don't hear anything, you don't hear any chirping, no noise. To hear dead silence in a forest is just super creepy. No animals, no buzzing, like no noise in the forest on a summer evening. And he was like, completely, it just went silence. The only thing he could hear was like the roaring of his dirt bike, and there was nothing else. And on top of that, he started feeling really chilly, like a small breeze just came over him and he was shivering. Also, when you're dirt biking, you don't really have like a source of light. He said it was just pitch black. He was following this dirt trail. He didn't see anything because I don't think he was really paying attention or trying to catch a glimpse of anything. He just thought he was going on a regular dirt bike ride. But as soon as he left this trail, that's when he started to hear sounds again, and it got all warm again because it was a warm summer night. After that, he just never took the trail again because he was creeped out. When I told him all this stuff about like the tent lady and like the creepiness, he got so freaked out. He's like, now it makes sense. So yeah, that is it. I'm gonna conclude it there. That's just the gist of everything I know about like the tent lady, the Toronto Zoo, Old Finch, that whole kind of haunting and paranormal stuff in Toronto. I actually love scary stories and like reading up on urban legends and all of that stuff, so I definitely have a lot more to tell you. If you guys are interested in this series, I would love to do more because I know so many. If you guys are interested, let me know and I will continue it. Comment down below, please, please, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. I've been making a lot more videos lately. I promise I will be active. Make sure you follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I will link it down below. I'm just glad to have a platform to tell this because I've been telling all my friends since I was literally 14 years old about all the scary stuff that I know, all the scary stuff I've encountered. If you guys want more like scary stories, I can definitely do that. Let me know. I just feel like these are really good videos to watch when you're like eating food, or if you're like multitasking, that kind of thing. These are just like super fun. So yeah, thanks for watching.